probably only doing 1 to 2 things wrong in your bodybuilding that is actually holding you back from a pretty crazy physique. And that simplification should make you hopeful, but also make you realize things are a little more within your grasp than you probably thought. If you watch my stories a lot, you've probably heard of what I call, like the 90-10 rule. There's the basics, like the bare minimum, bare bones bodybuilding that nets you about 90% of your total progress. And then there's the niche shit that'll net you maybe 10%, some really advanced like gear and insulin protocols, fucking growth hormone timing, you know, crazy new training splits, like, the fancy shit. Fancy shit is cool if you're taking care of the other stuff. If you're taking care of the other stuff, you can move on to the fancy shit. If you're not taking care of the other stuff, fancy shit probably isn't for you yet. And one thing I'm seeing a lot of in the like coaching, fitness content, bodybuilding space is people really like to try and fill a niche. They like to get hyper specific on one thing, make all their content about it, and it brings in views, it brings in followers, it makes you look a lot smarter than you are for the most part, because I know most of these guys fucking chat GPTing their pharmacology knowledge. Anyways, I won't get too deep into that. But, it's cool to know a lot about one thing. But, people consume this content, they parrot it, they repeat it. And I think it has led a lot of guys to think their problems are a lot more complex than they are. Like, I'll see people in my DMs and they're trying to tell me about their, advanced gut health protocol. I'm like, all right, cool. What's on your meal plan that's giving you gut health problems? And they're like, oh, I don't have a meal plan. Okay, then we're working backwards here. You know what I'm trying to say? You'll get guys who can tell you exactly how they think tren is affecting their glucocorticoid receptor, but they can't run 100 mgs of tren without being a side effect riddled mess. There's a lot of knowledge and not a ton of application. But thankfully for you guys, I'm making this video because I have seen with a lot of clients that I've taken on recently that things are just so much simpler than you would think. It's really, for most people, 1 to 2 things that are holding them back, like simple fucking things. And granted, I've had a couple guys that I've had to build from the ground up. Like, one of my clients, when he started with me, was eating lean cuisine for all his meals. He was hitting his macros, but he was eating lean cuisine for every meal, taking like 1.5 grams of gear with like half of that being tren, and doing like the most fucked high volume training split I've ever seen. So, we had to really build that from the ground up. Dude had no muscle mass, and now he is building a substantial amount of muscle mass. My boy Dalton, I'm sure you guys have heard about me talk about him a lot. He's one of my best client transformations. When we started together, he was eating 1 meal a day, taking gear, and not training and drinking. So I've had a couple where I've had to build from the ground up, and it's been an awesome fucking process. Just like watching these guys go from like turbo normie to fucking bodybuilder. It's really cool. But for the most part, like the client transformations that I have, it's from fixing one thing. One of my best clients, were and I like to leave people anonymous for the most part unless they've said otherwise, just because gear, and your career, there can be a little bit of iffiness there. So I like to leave people anonymous. One of my best clients, who I've been friends with for a very long time, dude is a freak show. He has, in his prime, had an 800-pound conventional deadlift 4 reps. Plenty of experience running gear. Pretty fucking big dude, like 220, decently lean at 5'9". Fucking monster. But his issue was he'd always be kind of like little fat and watery, and the dude would just chronically injure himself over and over. I mean, when you have that kind of strength, it's hard not to. So he kind of like fell into a slump, just went on TRT, was kind of half-assing training, whatever. And because he was a power lifter, he never really learned how to diet. It was always that like 70-30 clean junk, hit your macros type shit. And, he wanted to take his physique more seriously. Like, he wanted to look fucking freaky. Like, he's like, I can't be strong anymore. I've torn too much shit. So I might as well look freaky. Literally, only change. His cycles are a little different than what he normally runs, but around the same milligrams. Literally all we did was put him on like a real bodybuilder meal plan and put him on like a bodybuilding type, more low volume, high intensity, really progressive overload based program. And the dude blew up. Like, I've literally only upped his food and he just keeps like dropping scale weight and getting leaner and freakier and building more muscle. Like, it's insane. And the training program, he's fucking gym pinning and full stacking like every machine at this point. So literally, like, it wasn't anything complicated. It wasn't fixing his gut health or like getting a GI map or what's the word everyone loves to use? Optimizing his hormones. It was like, all right, here's what I want out of my cycle. Here's what I want out of my training. Here's what I want out of my diet. Make it happen. And we made it happen. It was that easy. I took on a client recently who was natural, but wanted to start his first cycle. And the dude looked pretty good. Like, he was clearly a gifted natural. And, his training was pretty good. We've upped the intensity for sure. I have to as his coach. I wouldn't be doing my job if I, let good not progress into great. But, we played around with his training a little bit. Went from like a little more macro based, but like very clean macro based to a meal plan. And then literally all we did was give the dude 400 tests. And he fucking morphed. I genuinely have never seen anything like it. It's probably the first true hyper responder I've ever taken on. But like, for that dude, it was literally that simple. It was just, okay, you need gear for your goals. All right, here's some gear. Here's some low dose test. That was it. I think we just added in growth, but like most of the freakiness happened before the growth was even in there. It was that easy. It was that simple. There was no fluff. There was no, arguing about studies. It was just like, all right, you have one thing between you and what you want. Another great example, one of my longer time clients, law enforcement, also a paramedic, really cool fucking dude. When he came to me, he was definitely taking enough gear. He loved the gym. Like, that's why he was taking the gear. He loved being in the gym. He loved training. There was no real issues there. Sure, like the cycle could have been a little better, but like whatever. It was good enough for results where results should have been happening, and they weren't. All right, man, what's your diet? Well, I hit my macro. I'm like, all right, well, what does that mean? He's like, well, I need to eat 5,000 calories to bulk, and I get 2,500 of those at Taco Bell every day. I wonder what the thing between him and his goals could have been. It was a meal plan. It was literally a meal plan. We put him on a meal plan. He has been running around the same doses he was running on his own. He has been training in a similar way. Obviously, I made it better because that's what I do. But like, it was literally like the dude just needed a fucking meal plan. He just needed a meal plan. He did not need, an advanced sleep protocol. He did not need, to spend $500 on genetic testing to see if he had some mutation that was making his mitochondria inefficient. No, he needed a fucking meal plan. And I guarantee you, most of you who are not seeing the results you want, it is either going to fall into your cycles suck or are not high dose or high duration enough. Your training sucks and is not, directional or intense. Or your diet sucks or is not precise enough or is nowhere near the amount of food you need to be eating. It's probably that simple for most of you. I'd say maybe the only other big variable, you guys sleep like shit. But I can't bag on you too hard for that, because when I was a corrections officer, I would probably get 4 to 6 hours a night. And I still made gains, but like, you know, life kind of sucked. But I can't get on you for the things you can't change. But I know damn well that every one of you could follow a meal plan, could train with fucking intensity, and could take enough gear to grow. So, okay, we've established that for most of you, I'm sure there's some outliers out there, most of you, it's just one simple change, maybe two, that need to be made to your life to start looking like a bodybuilder. And that should feel very liberating, knowing, oh shit, maybe it's not as complicated as all these guys made it out to be. Maybe Justin's right, and I can change one thing in my life and have the physique I want. That should feel freeing. But I guarantee you've probably already known that. I know no one like sees bodybuilding content all day. And I know if you follow my page, your algorithm's giving you other bodybuilding content. You see what other bodybuilders do. You see we all eat meal plans. You know, we're not fitness influencers. We don't like fucking go binge on Crumble cookie twice a week. Like, if you're like more of a like real, you know, someone who's enthusiastic about bodybuilding, you know, you follow a meal plan. You know, you've seen the way the guys you want to look like train. It's usually pretty hardcore. And, you know, the ones who are honest about their cycles, it probably doesn't look a lot like what you're taking. Maybe it does. But, you know, you deep down, I know you guys already know this. It's not new information in the slightest. And I'm honestly making this video to possibly call you out and make you call yourself out. Because I bet you've known. I bet you've known for a long time what the one thing holding you back from your physique is. And I'm just putting it out there. And now, I want you to be honest with yourself. I think it makes it a little harder on you when you know it's one lifestyle change away. I think that makes it feel a lot more in your control when previously you probably blamed it on things outside of your control. I did that. I knew my diet wasn't as good as it could be, and I kind of just like blamed it on outside things, like, oh well, you know, I can still do it like this. You know, Sam Sulek did it. I Sam Sulek cooked. But, you know, just like you're watching this video right now, I consumed hours and hours and hours of podcasts of my current coach before I ever hired him. And he was talking about like nutrition and training and all this stuff. And it really made it feel in my control. To the point where I was like, wow, I have been leaving shit on the table for years, and it was this simple. And I feel like a fucking idiot, and I feel like a pussy for never confronting it. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make you confront that shit right now. If it is your fucking diet and you know it, look at yourself and go, all right, man, look, there's one thing between you and the physique you want. It's literally writing down 5 meals a day of whatever, 50 grams of protein, 50 grams of carbs, 10 grams of fat, whatever. I don't know your macros. Writing that out and fucking eating it every day. That's it. That is it. But I think that choice makes us really, as men, confront our egos. You know, we build up an ego to protect ourselves from, you know, facing facts. And it is hard to admit that it's like, damn, literally all that's been between me and my physique is my own lack of discipline around food, or, you know, inability to push to failure in the gym, or like, you know, hesitation to like take a real fucking cycle. That's it. But once you have broken it down to this is one choice that I need to make to fucking succeed, it's a lot easier. I think that when it gets to that point, it weeds out the people who want it and the people who don't, you know? If you can still find a way to cope after that point, you know, that's when it gets into like life stuff. Like, oh, you know, it's just my wife and my kid. I can't meal prep. Oh, I got a 20-month cruise, Carnival cruise to go on that just appeared, you know, all that shit. You know, people will still cope. They'll always find a way. But the guys who really want this shit will get it broken down to that level and go, well, shit, I know what I need to do. I need to either write myself a meal plan or seek out guidance from a fucking coach. I need to start recording my sets in the gym so I know I am pushing to failure. You know, I need to blah, 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 fucking, you know, I just need to suck it up and take a grandma test, whatever it may be. But I hope this video helped you guys find some clarity. That's what I always try to do, is break it down to the simplest possible level. Forget about the 10% of shit that nets you 10% of your progress. Right now, look at the basics. Look at the basics that net you 90% and go, what's my one thing holding me back? What is it? Because everyone's fucking got one. Or if it's all three, then you got some work to do. Anyways, guys, peace out. Like, subscribe. Later.